Supergirl is one of the most inspirational characters in DC Comics. She's brave, she's strong, and what's more, she's relatable. She's an alien, an outcast, a young girl who is still trying to find her place in the world. She's not just off-world, she's somewhat displaced as well. Kara Zor-El is the elder cousin of Superman and was meant to arrive early to protect him when he was just a baby, but instead her arrival on Earth was delayed, meaning that by the time that she made it there and emerged from her ship, he was basically all grown up. She had to find out her place in the world separate from this role that she had anticipated. Who was she now? Who did she want to be? Welcome back, Nerd Squad. Today we're going to take a look at all the possibilities when it comes to Supergirl, of who she is and who she's become, as we take a look at the top 10 alternate versions of Supergirl. Be sure to stick around to the end of this list where I will have some bonus content coming your way in the form of comment responses. And be sure to smash that subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay in the know on all of our nerdy content. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Supergirl 1984 film. Helen Slater was the woman cast to play Supergirl in the 1984 superhero film. This film actually had quite the talented roster of actors and actresses appearing, but has pretty much been considered universally horrible by just about everyone, comic book fans and non-comic book fans alike. This feeling was even reinforced after the creation of film rating and review sites such as Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. It has a lowly 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, but there is something about cheesy effects that really just draws me in. Being a big Mystery Science Theater fan, I cannot deny that I enjoy a truly bad film. Also, hearing Peter O'Toole talk seriously as his character Zoltar about the Phantom Zone is pretty priceless. Sometimes in order to truly appreciate the evolution of a character, you need to take the good with the bad, and it's nice to see how far the live-action depiction of Supergirl has come from 1984 to 2020. Number 9. Matrix. Matrix was a version of Supergirl who was introduced during a time when DC only permitted Superman to be Kryptonian. No one else was allowed to be in the Kryptonian club, which means Supergirl's origins needed to change. As such, Supergirl became Matrix, a protoplasmic being who was created by an alternate Lex Luthor using Lana Lang's DNA. Matrix went by May for short and had a ton of insane superpowers thanks to her somewhat bizarre origins, including telekinesis, shapeshifting, and invisibility. Number 8. Linda Danvers. Something that I think is really important to acknowledge when it comes to any Supergirl character is how hard it seems to be for her to get a story that is straightforward. Linda Danvers as an alternate version only serves to highlight this fact. Linda was born out of darkness and out of that weird protoplasmic version of Supergirl known as Matrix that we just talked about. Linda was your average high school small town girl growing up in Leesburg during a time in the DC continuity where, like I said before, DC was very passionate about making Superman the only surviving Kryptonian in comics. As such, Linda gets mixed up in some pretty evil stuff due to her boyfriend Buzz's influence and then becomes a sacrifice for the demon cult that Buzz is a part of. Wow. As she lays dying, bleeding out after Buzz cuts her, Matrix finds Linda and bonds with her. Together they become the Supergirl alternate known as Linda Danvers, who transformed between her normal high school girl persona and that of the hero Supergirl, who focused on fighting both crime and demons, because her origins was with demons. Number 7. Supergirl Who Laughs. This version of Supergirl has recently become part of, well, all the events that DC is going on right now. If you are up to date with your DC series, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But even you might find yourself a little lost amidst all the awesomeness. And for those of you who are lost, basically the Batman Who Laughs is working to corrupt heroes with dark metal, which is his universe's version of nth metal. And while the heroes are putting up a good fight, he seems to be doing a pretty good job of succeeding overall in corrupting them. One of his recent conquests in terms of converting the heroes to their darkest sides of themselves has been with Supergirl. Supergirl was trying to protect Batman from an incoming Batarang and she caught it. However, the Batarang turned out to be made of dark metal and ended up infecting Supergirl, turning her into a dark metal version of herself known as the Supergirl Who Laughs. Number 6. Smallville. While Kara might not have been the main focus of the show Smallville, eventually she made her way onto the roster of Supers and Superman characters to appear. She joined the show in season 7 and was played by Laura Vandervoort. Most of Supergirl's storylines were part of the 7th season of the show, and Vandervoort only really returned as Kara to wrap up the character's story in season 8. While her time was brief in Smallville, many fans still enjoyed Laura Vandervoort's portrayal of the character. Number 5. Red Daughter. Even within the Arrowverse, there are alternates of their own alternate versions of the Arrowverse Supergirl. Red Daughter is sort of like the Arrowverse's version of comic book Supergirl alternate Dark Supergirl. Red Daughter ended up materializing in Siberia following Kara's exposure and use of black kryptonite. An evil version of Supergirl, Red Daughter used the alias Linda Lee and planned to help Lex Luthor to destroy the US and bring back the Soviet Union. Eventually, Supergirl helped Red Daughter to realize that Lex was actually just using and manipulating her for his own means, inspiring the Red Daughter to sacrifice herself in order to protect Supergirl, which resulted in the two merging back together once more. Number 4. DC Bombshells. This alternate version of Kara has something in common with Red Daughter actually. Both are associated and affiliated with Russia. Supergirl is the adopted sister of Stargirl in this universe, and the two are pilots who are serving in the military. After an accident, Kara saves her sister's life, which inspires Russia to promote the women as Russian war heroes and use them as faces for their propaganda. The other thing that is great about this version of Supergirl is that she manages to exist separately from Superman, escaping his overbearing shadow, and stand on her own as a strong and powerful hero in her own right. Number 3. Superman/Batman. In my previous Supergirl alternates list, we talked a lot about a lot of weird Supergirl stuff that happens, especially in regards to the alternate version of Supergirl known as Matrix, which we also talked about previously. But while Matrix was happening in main continuity, something entirely different was happening outside of any continuity in the completely separate world belonging to the Superman/Batman series. Jeff Loeb wanted to do something completely different with Kara, and as such had her come to Earth but gave her a more jarring introduction to the planet Earth and its inhabitants. Upon arriving, Kara creates all kinds of chaos and accidentally hurts people, not knowing her own strength and unable to speak in any language other than Kryptonian, so she can't really understand people, they can't really understand her. This was only made more strange when she ended up being kidnapped by Darkseid, who was looking to have her replace his female Fury, Big Barda. The whole ordeal leads to Kara being brainwashed and turned evil by Darkseid. She ends up attacking and attempting to kill Superman when he comes to rescue her, forcing him to knock her out with a kryptonite ring. But he feels really bad about it though. Number 2. Power Girl. We just can't have an alternate Supergirl list without talking about Power Girl. She's one of my favorites. Despite the fact that Power Girl is actually a completely different character in regards to continuity, many still see her as being an alternate version of Supergirl. In a way, she kinda is. Power Girl is from the Golden Age hero alternate world of Earth 2. Many think of her as the more mature version of the original Kara. She usually appears as older with short hair and is known for her distinctive costume and look. Power Girl goes by the awesome civilian alias of Karen Starr, while not in her superhero persona. Such a cool name. I wish my name was Karen Starr. She has seen all kinds of confusing origins and storylines thrown her way since her introduction in All-Star Comics issue 58. Number 1. Arrowverse. Melissa Benoit plays Supergirl in CW's show Supergirl, which is part of their Arrowverse. And yes, despite Arrow coming to a close, we are still calling it that. We can't change it now, it's too late. Supergirl has run for 5 seasons thus far, although this version of Supergirl's story almost ended as soon as it began. The first season of the show was produced by CBS, who chose not to renew it for a new season. Fortunately, CW came in and took over in 2016, allowing the show to continue and to flourish. Melissa does an impressive job of portraying Supergirl in the series and bringing this superhero to life in a way that is relatable and feels grounded in reality. Without her, the series likely would not have gone on and become as popular as it has. And you know how I feel about live action versions of characters. I think Melissa does a really good job. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope you found some of your favorite alternate versions of Supergirl on this list, but if you didn't and you feel that they got snubbed and slighted, be sure to let us know and show them some love in the comments below. And if you are just getting to know Supergirl, I hope this list helped you find some alternate Supergirl versions and stories that you're excited to check out. What is your favorite Supergirl story arc? Who do you prefer, Supergirl or Power Girl? Which actress do you think plays the best Supergirl in either the live action or animated series? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Smartest Detectives in Comics. Mitten Oliver comments, I don't think it's a coincidence that DC Detective Comics has more detectives than Marvel. I think you could be onto something there, Mitten. That seems like sound detective work to me. Kingdom Come Superman suggests Tim Drake, one of the few people Ra's al Ghul refers to as detective. Batman has mentioned that he will surpass him in the future. I agree, Tim Drake is certainly a brilliant detective mind. Honestly, he was on my extended list for that video, and we need to do a detective list just for DC because they just have so many great ones. I was on the verge of making pretty much a whole DC list for that video before I realized I should probably provide some more publishing diversity if we're talking about, all comics. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and feel shouted out in a future list. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to stay nerdy, YouTube.